What is up, Rebel colonists and Mars citizens? I am just a simple new type, and in this episode we are starting Volume 2 of Mobile Suit Gundam Wing Frozen Teardrop, Rondo of Redemption. Last time, Kathy Poe went through the trace files using virtual reality. He and his brother Vaughn rose through the ranks swiftly. Trace helped create the Oz that we see in AC-195. Also, Princess Aurora, aka Hiro Yui, awakens. This time, the battle on the moon takes place. We see through the eyes of the Anti-Alliance commander Artemis as she tries to predict Trace and his specials' every move. So let's get into this. Hiro Yui emerges from the pod. He is already proving that he is better than everybody by moving his body, something that takes the strongest people at least a day to do. He's just better than you. Deal with it, he says to brief him on the current situation. But Master Chang has to test something first. Hiro once said that he would never kill again after the events of Frozen Teardrop. He wonders if he still feels the same way. He says, "Who's that little shit?" referring to baby duo Maxwell. Father Maxwell tells him that it is his son. He turns to Kathy and says, "Who is this Sally ripoff?" Kathy is offended, but Master Chang tells her that she needs to finish going through the records. She puts on the glasses once again. She says that the baby version of Hiro she saw is probably more interesting anyways. AC-186, Summer. Trace and his men are at the L1 colony cluster preparing for his attack on the moon. The moon's gravity is 1/6 of Earth's. They needed something beyond the Type 3 Chimera. This is where the new grief comes in. This is the pinnacle of Leo engineering. Says Clark, the head engineer, thinks that this machine is practically a tall geese and hates it, as it represents the opposite of the minimal and efficient Leo. He hated it so much that he tendered his resignation. The grief has the firepower of the Leo with the flight power of the Artemis. It also has a shoulder-mounted cannon that rivals the cannon of the Tragos. This is an all-in-one mobile suit. This mobile suit made Sace irrelevant in his eyes. But for Trace, it's not about the machine, but rather the pilot. He has 3 cardinal instincts: intuitive grasp of enemy proximity, the visceral understanding of battlefield conditions, and the psychological resilience to maintain clarity. The Anti-Alliance forces will certainly have a grasp of the terrain. His specials are going to have to adapt to the lunar surface quickly. They have 3 days till they make their way to the lunar surface at the Sea of Tranquility lunar base. The Alliance forces have 15 Chimeras, 5 lunar surface combat Type 2 Tragoses, and 5 high-mobility fighters. The Anti-Alliance forces now have the Sagittarius along with 80 mobile suits. With Trace's forces, that makes it 50 versus 80. Take into account that they have the Sagittarius and it's closer to 50 versus 130. They are at a disadvantage. On the Sagittarius, there are fights breaking out between soldiers and workers. Some want to begin peace negotiations, while others want to strike the Sea of Tranquility base. Artemis Sidici doesn't want to fight, but she doesn't have any alternative solutions. They get word that Alliance forces were seen at the L1 colony. Supplies are dwindling and people are getting impatient as they run out of air. Letting the Anti-Alliance forces devour themselves is a part of the plan for Trace, which is why he wants to wait 3 days. The Sagittarius hasn't moved for 2 days. He knows that if they capture the lunar base, they're going to use it as leverage to declare independence. Trace plays it out in his mind what would happen if they took the base. Essentially, L1 and L2 colonies would support the Anti-Alliance forces, and a siege battle would play out on the moon. Trace is thinking hundreds of moves ahead. Artemis understands that capturing the base won't lead to their freedom as well. At L1, Zex and Noin enjoy a cup of coffee. They look out at all the constellations. The two have a very cringe conversation about the stars. During this conversation is when Noin realized her love for Zex, though she doesn't seem to know that he is Milliardo Peacecraft just yet. At the other side of the bar is Odin Lowe and Aoi Clark having cocktails. She is the younger Hiro Yui's mother. She is also an Oz secret agent undercover as Sace's wife. Odin is the father of the young Hiro, though he doesn't seem to be around often. He mentions that Sace is pushing people too hard, but she says that it is actually Tuberoff that is pushing them. This caused him to be removed from the development team. This minor setback would fuel Tuberoff to later build the mobile dolls. Odin is giving secrets to Artemis. She tries to bring up the assassination of Hiro Yui, and he tells her to drop it. One thing is for sure, they don't want neither Oz or the Anti-Alliance forces to get their hands on Gundanium. They know this will be used to create Gundams in the future. After 3 days, the specials touched base with the Sea of Tranquility Space Force. Artemis studied Trace and his tactics. Conversely, Trace probably didn't even know Artemis or her name. Artemis is tactical, but she views her men as chess pieces. Trace, on the other hand, has complete faith in his men. Meanwhile, Vaughn is handling an outbreak on L2. This is referred to as the colony flu, which has a 40% mortality rate. Ew, space COVID. The L1 colonies have many doctors from the Sand Kingdom. Vaughn relied on their experience and backed them financially, though they don't seem to back him. They were able to distribute a new vaccine swiftly. On L2, someone named Solo contracted the virus. His friend stole a vaccine to try to save him, but he was too late. Throughout all of this chaos, the friend never got the virus himself. He decides to call himself Duo in honor of Solo. Vaughn went to visit his mother, Angeline, at the hospital at the L1 point. She is so lucid that she believes that she is still in the Sand Kingdom. Vaughn shed a tear, but made sure his mother didn't see him. It was frustrating for him to watch her wither away. She asks about Trace. He tells her he is currently on the moon. He says that Trace wouldn't have cried if he were here. That is why he is going to be the one who unites us all. Trace and his team are ready to launch. The soldiers are riled up, which is still weird considering Trace is only 14 years old. His grief held the vanguard. His unit is white and blue, which reminds him of the ice during his childhood vacation, the good times with his mother. Trogos and Chimeras follow behind him. The team moves in slow and methodically. On the Sagittarius Bridge, Artemis thinks their forces are insignificant. Luckily, there is a lot of distance between the two. Artemis realizes that they are moving slowly to provoke them into firing the Sagittarius beam cannon. Trace hid the Trogos squad behind the enemy horizon line. His specials are to protect Trace. Zex is loving the new griefs while Noin looks out at the stars. Everyone seems cool and collected. They remain still, neither side willing to make the first move. Artemis watches as the Alliance forces draw what seems to be like a demarcation line. That is when Trace tells his Trogos line to open fire. They aren't anywhere close to one another to hit anything. Artemis recognizes that this is Trace's Mogadishu tactics. It has a ceremonial approach to it. It is a similar tactic to British Army strategies seen during the American War for Independence. All they are missing is some kind of drummer boy. The Trogos sends another volley of missiles. Artemis sends out their Chimeras. The Trogos instantly falls back. Something feels off. They push back towards the Trogos, but Trace, who was the vanguard, is now nowhere to be seen. She is paranoid and thinks she is falling into Trace's trap. That is when anti-Alliance Chimeras go down. They triggered landmines. The Alliance forces weren't drawing demarcation lines. They were laying mines. She tells all units to halt, but explosions goes off. She tells all forces to converge on the Sagittarius. This creates a smokescreen of dust and dirt. However, in moon gravity, the dust and dirt sticks around for a long time as dust doesn't dissipate in the wind like on Earth. 10 anti-Alliance Chimeras have been struck down. They still have a 2-to-1 advantage. They pick up a heat signature right in front of them and they fired their beam cannon. But it was only ballistics from the Trogos. This was a tactical faux pas on her end. She picks up 25 heat signatures and wonders where Trace is hiding the griefs. That is when the griefs make their attack on the Sagittarius. The anti-Alliance forces is using the moon as the battlefield, but Trace is using space as the battlefield and views the moon as merely an object on said battlefield. Essentially, the griefs swung around the light side of the moon undetected. The battle is on the dark side of the moon. The Alliance now has the Sagittarius surrounded. Trace tells everyone to attack. The anti-Alliance Chimeras covering the rear and front are taken out in an instant. Sagittarius has 2 minutes before they can fire the cannon again. They begin moving back. Moving while firing the cannon will reduce accuracy, but that won't matter too much. Artemis redirects her ace Chimera pilots to attack the griefs. The griefs don't have the strongest output when it comes to firepower, as that still belongs to the Chimeras. As they run out of power, the specials pull out their beam sabers and they carve a path towards the Sagittarius. They move in to protect Trace as he moves forward. The main cannon is charged and ready to fire in 10 seconds. Oh hey, we actually get an image of what the Sagittarius looks like in this photo. It just looks like a giant mining facility that can move. With seconds left, Trace fires his medium-range gun and destroys the cannon. Because of the cannon, the Sagittarius does an emergency shutoff on all controls. Trace and Elv pull back while Noin and Izumi dismantle the ship. More anti-Alliance Chimeras come in to protect what remains of the fleet. Zex and Solak's team are still fighting against the Aces, but they are distracting them from helping the Sagittarius. As the battle exhausts both sides, the Sagittarius is able to get power back. They begin to withdraw. The Greeks were able to force the remaining 30 Chimeras to retreat. The battle is over. Artemis accepts defeat from Trace. And that will do it for this episode. These novels are written as though someone is looking on to someone else's world. However, once two characters begin talking to one another, the dialogue gets so up its own ass. That conversation between Noin and Zex made me want to get up and leave the room due to secondhand embarrassment. Though Zex and Noin are the youngest of the specials at just 10 years old. Wait, why are you kids drinking coffee? Next time, we will look into how Artemis lost this battle. Someone will get handsy with the frail Angelina in the hospital. And Hiroyui once again wants to kill Relina Peacecraft. But that will do it for now, new types. Remember, be like Trace. Don't let the moon stand in your way. Peace.